I've been using this, the original Surface 3 since 2015, and the aging Atom processor is incredibly slow by today's standards. So I've got an upgrade. The Surface Laptop 3. This one I bought used from CEX for only £800 at half the price of the new equivalent, which is worth £1,600. This is the black 13-inch model with a replaceable SSD, take notes Apple, and for a used machine it's in almost brand new condition. So in the box obviously you get the laptop itself, and underneath you get your warranty information, which I don't have, and the charging brick. Now the charging brick is really clever. It's 65 watts, and on one end you've got the 2-pin power connector that goes to the wall. On the other you've got the Surface Connect charging port, which you use to charge your Surface. And right in the middle you get a USB port where you can plug your phone into and charge that while you're charging your laptop at the same time. I've held out from buying a new laptop until now because I just haven't had use for one. I've been using my desktop for everything, but since I'm going to college in September, I do need a portable machine. For specs, it has a 10th gen quad-core i7-1065G7 processor, 16GB of DDR4 RAM, and a 256GB M.2 SSD, which is user replaceable if you're into that sort of thing. The display is the same 3x2 2256x1504 display as the last Surface laptop, meaning you get a taller screen than 16x9 variant without losing any resolution, which is very useful for development, video editing, Photoshop and web browsing, which is the sort of stuff I'm going to be using this laptop for. The display has a Windows Hello iris sensor at the top, so unlocking it is lightning fast, and there aren't any fingerprint sensor power button hybrids that you find on MacBooks and other Windows laptops. The I/O on the Surface Laptop 3 is pretty good. You get a full-size Type-A 3.1 port, a non-Thunderbolt Type-C and a 3.5mm aux. On the other side you get the magnetic Surface Connect port for charging, which you can expand to a handful of Type-A and Type-C ports, Ethernet, and even have your Surface charge via power delivery if you're willing to pay almost £200 for Microsoft's Surface dock. Although the Type-C port isn't Thunderbolt, it does support charging if you have a high wattage wall adapter. Anything that says Quick Charge 3.0 on it will work, but if it has a USB-A, it won't. While digging through my drawers, I came across an old relic, a treasure from a time long forgotten. The Lumia 950 was Microsoft's last phone, and in my opinion, the best phone ever made. A 2015 flagship with a QHD OLED display, a camera capable of true 4K 30fps recording. It had a replaceable battery, Windows Hello iris sensors, NFC, wireless charging, water cooling and USB-C for under £399. So why does no one know about it? It ran Windows Phone 10, so it had no market share, no app support, and the developers hated it. But whatever, its biggest selling point was a feature called Continuum, which was stolen and later rebranded as DeX by Samsung, but that's not the point. If you had this, the Microsoft Display Dock, you could connect the phone via USB-C, not Thunderbolt, and use it as a Windows 10 ARM machine. Except it's still limited to Windows Store apps only, so the dock, since 2016, has been a £200 paperweight. Since it used some really strange standards and only worked with Microsoft devices, the question is, will it work with this Microsoft device? Oh. Hey! It works! It does. The only issue is the Lumia charger can't keep up with the dock and the Surface, so you might as well buy a cheaper Type-C dock and connect it to the wall anyway. As for actually using the laptop, the backlit keyboard is really nice. It has decent travel, great tactility, and the spacing between the keys is perfect, unlike the older type cover or any MacBook keyboard for that matter. The trackpad is glass-topped and much larger than the Surface Laptop 2's, and the model I have here has a metal deck with virtually zero flex. Interestingly, some of the function keys have little bumps on them, just like F and J on the home row. I'm assuming Microsoft did this for when you have the backlight off, or if you want to be able to touch type the print screen key. It does make sense for the power key, I guess. I've just never seen anything like it before, and I hadn't spotted it in any other reviews of the laptop either. The performance of the Surface Laptop 3 is impressive, even for the lower end Intel models like this one. If you pay up for a Ryzen version, they're twice as fast with even better battery life. In Cinebench R20, the i7-1065G7 got a very respectable 1745 points in the multi-threaded test, and a brilliant 457 in the single-threaded. Compared to my desktop Ryzen 7, it got just under half the score in the multi-thread. It does have half the cores, and actually beats it in single-threaded performance. Intel still wins in that department. The 1065G7 also beat my older overclocked Ryzen 3, and clearly it's miles better than my old Surface, which took over an hour to complete the single-threaded test, with a hilariously low score of 73. Fun fact, I'm actually editing this entire 4K 60fps video on the Surface Laptop 3 itself. So far it's going pretty well. I haven't had any crashes, unlike my desktop which crashes Vegas all the time. But it does get pretty toasty, but then again I am editing 4K 60fps video on a laptop. I'll make sure to post the rendering times in the description when it's finished. Gaming isn't out of the question either. With the replacement of the older Iris graphics and the introduction of the new Iris Plus, games like Counter-Strike can hold 60fps on medium if you're willing to lower the resolution. Again, if you pay up for the Ryzen model, you get the inclusion of the custom Vega graphics chip, which should be able to run most AAA titles on low, such as Forza or Rise of the Tomb Raider. The USB-A port allows a mouse to be used without any dongles, so for some light gaming between serious work and web browsing, it's perfect. Overall, the Surface Laptop 3 is a very competent laptop, deserving of its place in the Surface lineup. I'd love to get my hands on a Ryzen version of this thing, but performance doesn't come cheap in machines like this.